Good evening, everybody. We're going to call the meeting back to order, and this is our presentation period. We only have one presentation tonight, and that's going to be by our police department of new officers.
I just want to point out that the finance director brought tissues for himself. Mayor, City Council, good evening. I was actually in a conference today in San Diego. I'm supposed to be there all week, so I had to hear about the Dodgers losing all week. And the Padres apparently won the World Series already, apparently done that. Okay, we're going to start with dispatch. We have several new hirees. Some of these happened a month or two ago, but we're going to start today announcing them all, and we needed the full half hour because I think I have like 15 presentations today. So is Clarissa here? Well, there's one. We'll do her next month. Valerie Ramirez. Oh my goodness. The tissue box may not be needed. Megan. Yay. Okay, we're going to start with Megan Miller. Why don't you come on up over here? Megan was born and raised in the Coachella Valley. She grew up in a law enforcement family. Her father is a retired captain for Indio Police, and her mother is a dispatcher here with the Desert Hot Springs Police Department. So mom and daughter working for dispatch. She comes to us with 7 years dispatch experience from both Banning Police and Indio Police. In her free time, she enjoys spending time with friends, family, reading, and is a die-hard Kings fan. Go Kings! Megan is excited to be part of the Desert Hot Springs Police team and is looking forward to being a part of the department's first dispatch team. And I'm sorry, she's not a Kings fan, she's a Ducks fan, but... That hurt. So, welcome Megan Miller. Stay up here. Yeah, stay. Yvonne Renteria. Did I get your last name right? Yeah. She graduated from South Coast College of Court Reporting with an associate's degree in real-time medical legal transcribing. She has over 22 years of customer service administration experience and is passionate in using her professional skills to contribute to the community of Desert Hot Springs. Inspired daily by her husband and 2 children who encourage her to have a positive attitude and a dedicated work ethic to become a successful dispatcher. During her free time, one of her hobbies is crocheting, but most of it all spending quality time with her grandson and niece. Amy Birmingham. Did I mess up the last name? Amy has been a public safety dispatcher since 1997. She has worked for police and fire agencies in Washington, Arizona, and California, and has been in the Coachella Valley since 2018. During her career, she has been communications training officer, operations liaison, and communications supervisor. She has been married for almost 20 years and is a blended family of 5 with 6 grandchildren. She enjoys beach, traveling, hiking, and motorcycle rides. Okay, so there are 3 more dispatchers. We have 2 more that we're going to have to do next month because they couldn't make it here. Why don't you guys stay up here for the CSOs. Now I want to introduce 2 CSO officers. The first one, CSO Anthony Estrada. Anthony was born in the city of Marietta and was raised in the city of Lake Elsinore, California. Anthony was a Riverside County Sheriff's Explorer from the age of 14 to the age of 18 years old. His older brother, Philip Estrada, is currently one of our police officers here in the city of Desert Hot Springs. Becoming a sheriff explorer is where Anthony found his passion for law enforcement and helping others in need. Anthony is currently in the police academy at Ben Clark Training Center and plans on becoming a police officer soon with the city of Desert Hot Springs. CSO Al Tagani.
Come on out.
He grew up in Orange County and went to Western High School in Anaheim. Before the start of his public service career, Al spent close to 18 years in the automotive industry and sales. He left the industry to pursue a career in law enforcement and wanting to serve the residents in Desert Hot Springs. He successfully completed the Riverside County Sheriff's Academy in June of 2021. Al's ultimate goal is to become a police officer for the city of Desert Hot Springs. Al's family moved to Desert Hot Springs from Corona, California in April of 2021. They are very happy to call this city their home and made an effort to tie into our community. Al's wife is teaching 5th grade at Bella Vista Elementary School. They take great pride in their hometown and community and will assist in whatever way they can so they can make it a better place for all of us. Yeah, you guys just go sit.
Thank you.
Who do we have here? Okay, we've also had 2 recent promotions, and one promotion, one change of assignment. And I was just informed today that we missed somebody else's change of assignment about a year ago, almost a year and a half, and that's Detective Kupka. We never got him up here, so I apologize for that, but come up now. Come on. Come on. See, I do listen to you.
Yeah.
Okay. Sergeant Jason Jimenez. Come on up. Sergeant Jason Jimenez was hired by the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department in 2014 and worked at West Valley Detention Center. In 2016, Jason was hired by the Pasadena Police Department and worked patrol. In 2017, Jason left the Pasadena Police Department and was hired by the Desert Hot Springs Police Department. Jason's been assigned to patrol. He was selected to become a field training officer shortly thereafter. Jason served as officer in charge and acting sergeant since October 2021 until his promotion. He was promoted to sergeant in September of 2022. Jason graduated from National University with a Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice. He is also a drug recognition expert. Congratulations, Jason Jimenez. Okay, Detective Chris James. And his fan club, apparently. Detective Chris James was hired by the Desert Hot Springs Police Department in 2017. Chris was assigned to patrol. Within a few years, he was selected as a field training officer. Shortly after, he became an investigator with the Major Accident Investigation Team, which is called MATE, and was selected as one of the department's homeless liaison officers. Chris was assigned as a traffic officer to the traffic unit until his transfer to the Detective Bureau. Chris received the Big Heart Award as a result of his hard work and dedication with the homeless outreach program. He was Officer of the Year in 2018. Please help me congratulate Detective Chris James. Gerald. Okay, so the next 3 are going to be police officers that we're going to swear in. We're going to call them up all up, and then we'll do the swearing in after the badge pinning. Who's all here? Okay. First officer, George Bailey. Okay, he's been up here before and he's really shy, so we're going to try to get him through this. Please welcome new police officer George Bailey. Officer Bailey was born in the city of Pasadena and raised in the communities of Compton and Whittier. George attended a prestigious school called POP, Police Orientation Preparation Program, where he graduated from with an associate's degree in criminal justice. Officer Bailey was an explorer for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, Compton Station. In 2019, George was hired as a community service officer by the city of Rosemead. Officer Bailey was later hired as a community service officer for the city of Desert Hot Springs in May of 2021. On March 22, 2022, Officer Bailey was sent to the Riverside County Sheriff's Department to attend the 214th Basic Academy. On September 15, 2022, Officer Bailey graduated from the academy. Officer Bailey graduated in the top 10 of his class. He's excited to be back and serve the wonderful citizens of Desert Hot Springs. And I know you're shy, but I think you could get through this. You want to say some words?
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity, and I'm excited to be back and get back to work.
Okay, Officer Bailey's going to be pinned by me. I missed his graduation. I had a prior commitment, so I congratulate George, and I'm sorry I missed his academy graduation, but the deputy chief was there and took care of that, so I'm honored to be pinning Officer Bailey. Officer John Sanders. Please welcome Police Officer John Sanders. Officer Sanders graduated from the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department Academy in 2017. John has experience in a jail setting as well as some patrol. Officer Sanders grew up in Orange County, and his hobbies include playing basketball, golf, and boxing. He has been married to his wife for almost 4 years, and they have 2 children, ages 1 and 3. Officer Sanders grew up wanting to be a police officer because his grandfather was a Washington, D.C. officer who later worked for the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms. He always wanted to follow in his grandfather's footsteps. Officer Sanders' wife pushed him into applying and getting into the academy. He is very grateful for her pushing him into pursuing his dreams. Officer Sanders is very happy to be here, and he will do his absolutely best in helping the residents of the city of Desert Hot Springs feel safer and comfortable in their city. He is very thankful for his opportunity. And you can see when we have the basketball game this year against the kids that we don't have to rely just on the fire chief for height.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you to the city of Desert Hot Springs. I'm here to work, very grateful, and I'll be here for the rest of my career.
Okay, Officer Sanders is going to be pinned by his mom, Dawn.
And his son.
Okay, next up is Officer Douglas Banowitz. Officer Banowitz was born and raised in the city of Anaheim, California. Officer Banowitz attended Fullerton College, where he attended the police academy. Officer Banowitz was a volunteer police explorer and eventually became a police cadet while attending the police academy. Officer Banowitz has always had an interest in public service and has worked several years in the private public safety field and has always wanted to progress his law enforcement career into becoming a police officer. Officer Banowitz has an interest in outdoors and enjoys spending time with his family and friends. Officer Douglas Banowitz.
I just want to say thank you to the chief, the city. I appreciate the opportunity. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Okay, Officer Banowitz is going to be pinned by his friend, Victor. How's it going? Pretty good. How you doing? All right. Okay, Gerald's going to swear the three in this time.
Good evening. Please raise your right hand. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic? That you will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of California? That you take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion? And that you will well and faithfully discharge the duties upon which you're about to enter? Congratulations.
Okay, you guys keep going. While we have some of the officers here, last weekend we did have one of our best weekends, so I want to get Kupka, James, and Hazen up here. Am I missing anybody that was out? Sergeant Jimenez, come up. Anybody else? Officer Toscano? Telegani? Okay, I would like to publicly thank these officers. Unfortunately, we had a homicide early Friday morning, and within 4 hours, thanks to their hard work at the scene, they had the suspect in custody. They spent a lot of time out here, and I also want to thank the Riverside County District Attorney's Office, the gang impact team. They also did a lot to help get this individual off the streets within 4 hours. Unfortunately, right after that, I'd say 14 hours after that, we had a fatal traffic accident where we had to have our MATE team come in, and Sergeant Hazen was a big part of that. And I know he hasn't had a day off for a little while now, so they were able to get that all done. This kind of work is what makes these guys really special for the city of Desert Hot Springs. They don't take their job lightly. When something happens, they want to solve it as quickly as possible. And to have an individual in custody 4 hours into an investigation is outstanding. The same with the traffic accident investigation. Never complain. They get out there, they do their job, and I just want to thank them when I had the opportunity to. So thank you.
And on behalf of the City Council, to all the new dispatchers, CSO officers, the new officers, to the promoting officers, and to the team that was just introduced, thank you so much for what you do. We ask our department heads and our city manager to introduce when we have new staff members, and it's always a pleasure when the police chief gets up there because we know we're bringing on good people in our community, one of our biggest departments, and please be safe out there. The reason that people are not doing crime in our city anymore is because of the work you do. Thank you. We're going to recess. All right, we're going to call to order the regular meeting of the City Council. The City Council is serving as a successor agency to the former Redevelopment Agency Board for Tuesday, October 18th, 2022. This is our 6 p.m. regular session. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Betts.
Present.
Councilmember Nunez.
Present.
Councilmember Pai.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Gardner.
Present.
And Mayor Mattis.
Present. I just wanted to say a couple words real quick, and then we're going to get into our invocation as would take place in any city. We have a planning commissioner that was rushed to the hospital recently, and we want to wish him the best. DG Cook, I understand that he's doing much better, and that he'll be back hopefully serving the city of Desert Hot Springs on the Planning Commission very soon. But our city staff is keeping an eye out and making sure that he's healing, and if he needs anything from us, we'll be there for him.
Mr. Mayor, could I have a comment on that?
Sure.
He's out of the hospital, home, and doing fine. It was a medication conflict. You know, sometimes they tell you, don't take this medication with that one because it'll cause a reaction. Well, it's actually real. It happens. So he's home, out and about, and doing fine. So I'm sure
A little scary what we saw on social media. So yeah,
that was a little scary, but he's fine.
DG, if you're watching, we're wishing you the best. Yeah. All right. With that said, we have Richard Kirk here today. He's from First Baptist Community Church. Got to put them in the right order there. And he's going to give our invocation tonight. Mr. Kirk.
Praise God. How is everyone today?
Great.
Great. Well, let's all bow our heads. Father God, we thank you, Lord, that your throne is in heaven and that the earth is your footstool, and that the eyes of the Lord are in every place, beholding the evil and the good, including in this city. We put you in remembrance of your word in Isaiah, the ninth chapter. Unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and his name shall be called the Mighty God, Counselor. Father God, I'm asking you to pour into these members of this council wisdom. Your wisdom. You said, Father God, if any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God, for God giveth to every man liberally, and upbraideth not. So we thank you, Father, for this wisdom that you are giving them. And Father God, I pray for a spirit of cooperation as everyone works together with one another with these various situations that they are confronted with day to day. And Lord, I'm asking you to shield them from all hurt, harm, and danger and their families. We thank you for the new recruits that have pledged law and order. And Lord, I pray that each and every one on this council will focus on the people and their needs, and to do it with a spirit of understanding. And Lord, one other thing, I pray that you will help them you've given them authority to bring correctness and discipline to those that are unlawful and to those that need discipline, to those that are rebellious. And we thank you, Father, for hearing this prayer. In the mighty name of Jesus, and everyone say, amen.
Thank you very much. We're going to go on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Ms. Pye, would you lead us tonight?
Everyone please say with enthusiasm.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam City Attorney, would you report on closed session, please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. We have no reportable action items.
Next item will be the approval of the agenda at this time. If anyone needs to pull any items from the consent calendar, we will do so at this time. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak on the consent calendar items? I see nobody coming forth. We'll close public comments on consent calendar. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, motion to approve consent, or approve the agenda with consent as is.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second. Wait for it to come on the screen. Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Next, we're going to move to public comments. At this time, pursuant to the Brown Act, any person may comment on matters of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the City Council not listed on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the City Council shall not take action on or discuss matters raised during public comment portion of the agenda that are not listed on the agenda. All comments are to be directed to the City Council and shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during public comments. And I have two so far. You don't have to fill out the blue cards, but if you'd like to speak, I'll call you up after these. First one is Caden Cross.
Hello, I just wanted to thank the city for your continued investment in beautification. And so your recent beautification project, I think is really great, and especially the part that is going to educate local school children. Because really with a lot of these issues, we need to kind of fix them young. And within my lifetime, so within the time that I've lived here, so I've lived here since I was about 8 years old, I've seen Desert Hot Springs change quite a bit for the better. And that can be continued through continued infrastructure investment. So I really agreed with that project, and I think it's a great idea, and that the city should continue with similar projects. Thank you.
Mr. Cross, well said. Thank you very much. Next speaker is Tom Owen. I don't have any other speaker cards. If you'd like to speak, I'll call you up afterwards. This is the last call.
Good evening. Nice and pleasant to be here tonight. I'd like to address Highway 62 and Pearson Boulevard. Most of your GPS directions to come to Desert Hot Springs, if you're coming from LA or points west, brings you to that intersection. And that intersection belongs to Desert Hot Springs. We don't have to share it with Palm Springs. We don't have to share it with Cathedral City. And that being the gateway to Desert Hot Springs, I believe that our city should some way promote development of that intersection. It's all desert now, but I think if we have some dreamers like we've had in the past, we could dream something big. And Desert Hot Springs has operated big. And I have seen a number of wonderful things in Desert Hot Springs. I was on the committee with Mrs. Pye for Desert Hot Springs High School, and we both made an impact on there. And the high school is 2 stories when we were told it had to be 1. And every school since then is 2 stories in our school district. So I think we can do something about Pearson Boulevard at Highway 62. Tranquility Park. I keep hearing some things about Tranquility Park. I would love for that to move forward And I think that that can be something big as well. And I'd also like to say that with an election looming near, we always hear a lot of big plans. Well, that's okay, but let's just keep them coming. And our city can be the shining city on the hill of the Coachella Valley, because we do look down on the rest of the Coachella Valley. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Tom. Anyone else in the audience would like to speak in public comments? Final call. And close public comments at this time, and we'll go to the city manager's report. Oh, I'm sorry. Come on up.
Evening, Honorable Mayor, Council members. Michael Duff, resident of Desert Hot Spring. I was here a couple meetings back to discuss the implementation of the short-term vacation rentals. I wanted to come tonight and thank the City Council and City staff for beginning the implementation of that ordinance. It looks like the hotline's online. I haven't had to use it yet. Hopefully I never do. But it's comforting to know, at least if there is an issue on a weekend, there's something to assist me. So I wanted to come today and just thank the council and city staff for listening to me and getting that done.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we're going to close public comments this time. We'll move to city manager's report.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. We have several updates from our team members. We're going to start with our Administrative Services Director, Jeffrey Buckheim.
All right, thank you and good evening. So our financial highlights, as of October 18th for fiscal year 22-23, we have revenues of almost $3.5 million, which is 12% of the adopted budget. Last year at this time, we had revenues of $4.9 million, which was 16%. However, $1.7 million of that was a transfer from the ARPA funds. So at this time last year, the actual operating revenues were only $3.1 million. 2 years ago, the revenues were $2.8 million, 11% of the budget. Our expenditures this year are over $8.1 million, which is 23% of the budget. Last year at this time, our expenditures were $7.5 million at 23% of the budget, and 2 years ago, the expenditures were $7.1 million at 26% of the budget.
Thanks, Jeffrey. And now from our Public Works Director, Nick Hager.
Thank you. Construction has started on Palm Drive North project. Demolition has begun, as well as construction of new cross gutters, ADA ramps, and sidewalks on the east side of Palm Drive. Construction of flat work will continue along east side of Palm Drive from Pearson Boulevard to Mission Lakes Boulevard. As a reminder, do not enter streets that are closed or lanes that are closed. This is for your protection as well as the protection of the workers. The traffic signal at Mountain View and Dillon has been reported to Riverside County. We will continue to check the status of the signal timing with County until it has been corrected.
Thanks, Nick. And last week we had several city staff members attend the 4th Annual California Cannabis Control Summit. And there was something a little different about this one because this time we had participations, and that's something that I'm hoping is starting a new trend for all of our city staff, is to not only go to the conferences but start to participate in them as well. And so Eric Besserell is going to give a quick update on that.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. So this last week, several of us attended the California Cannabis Control. So about the California Cannabis Control, so InfoCast was the person who put it on, and it was their 4th annual California Cannabis Control Summit. What it does is it's set up to empower local government officials and law enforcement agencies to provide an effective and safe regulatory framework for this growing industry. The event was 2 days and included over 20 different presentations. If you can see in the participating organizations, our logo is up there right below the CDTFA. So City of DHS attendees was Doria Wilms, our Deputy City Manager, Jennifer Mizrahi, our City Attorney, Christina Newsom, our Compliance Manager, Patricia Villagomez, our Principal Planner, and myself. So the cannabis policy leaders that were there all got to speak. We were really happy to show here Doria Wilms spoke on crafting public policy for regulated cannabis, and Jennifer Mizrahi spoke on determining municipal planning and zoning, land use, fire, and building codes. Both were really well attended, a lot of really good questions, and that concludes my update.
Thanks, Eric. And finally, an update from Roberta Cernick.
Thank you. Just a quick reminder, the Desert Hot Springs Job and Health Fair is this Saturday from 9 to 2 p.m. at the Desert Hot Springs Health and Wellness Center. This free event will include on-site job interviews, health screenings, a mobile clinic, and a blood drive. Thank you.
That concludes my report.
Thank you very much. We'll go to council member comments at this time, and we'll start, I think I started today, and I'll start at this end this time. Mr. Betts.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So my printer's not working. It's the first time in my life I'm doing this off of my phone, so we'll see how this goes. I'm looking at this. I've been looking at them going, can't believe I'm starting off with barking dogs, but hey, everything's local in the city, right? We've got residents who are reporting barking dogs, and one particular case, guy says, you know, it just won't stop. So I get in my car at 11:30 at night, go down there and I sit, and sure enough, this dog's so loud that as I'm driving up to his house, I can hear it barking. So I asked him to report it, but he said he tried, and the answer he got back was that there needs to be 3 other neighbors, or a total of 3 neighbors within a 24-hour period to report the barking dog. And I don't mind being there at 11:30 at night on a weekend to verify it, but I think we need to figure out, and I understand staff can't do that, you know, they can't be on 24 hours or 24/7. But we need to figure out a better way than having to go and talk to your neighbors and get them all to together to try and report something. Part of this is they want to be anonymous when they're filling these reports, and as soon as you have to go gather up your neighbors, it's a problem. So I'd like to ask staff if you can maybe come up with a different policy than that one and see if we can go from there. Had some complaints about early construction noise at 6 a.m. Somebody says, why are they letting somebody do pool gunite at 6 a.m.? And that's a really loud process. Turns out that it's 6 a.m. is a good start time for construction at this time of year because of daylight savings time. And the reason for that is to provide some relief to the construction workers from the brutal summer heat. I'm wondering if maybe we need to change that to go for what the months that are really hot, August or July, August, and maybe part of September, to provide some relief to the residents. 6 a.m.'s really early to be woken up by very, very loud equipment. So I don't know if that's something that we can get on the agenda. Now, these aren't earth-shaking items, but what are you going to do? Salt and Sea Coalition, the energy environment came up. There's some news out of there now. They had a so-called independent review panel out of Santa Cruz, and they just denied the solution for sea-to-sea water import, said it wasn't feasible, said something's unique and unusual about building a canal or building a pipeline and transporting water. The Romans did it. I'm sure they did it before that. But and every valley city, the Torres Martinez tribe, and COD have all pushed for engineering to be done, to get the engineering work done so that we can at least go out and get it done. It's about $2 million for that work. And so that's falling on deaf ears. And they just spent $2 million, again, studying this for a year at UC Santa Cruz by a guy who back in 2020 said he didn't like the idea. So they're working, trying to see if, I keep this short, but the bottom line is the city's voice isn't being heard on that one, but the Salt and Sea Coalition is working to see what can be done and keep pushing this issue, and it's being talked about quite a bit at CVAG. Attended the Southern California Association of Governments Transportation Committee. They had a presentation on electric versus diesel versus hydrogen fuel cells for big rigs. That's the semi-tractor trailers. And it was refreshing to have that discussion taking place, because as we're making this big push towards electric vehicles, everybody's saying, well, where's the electricity going to come from? And so the good news is they took up that question. The bad news is the answer is they're working on it, and they have no idea how they're going to pull that one off. So they just said future technology will come along. Attended the Riverside County Transportation Commission, filled in for the mayor as the alternate. Presentations by RCTC staff on overpasses and a rail line extension, nothing relative to us. There was a really long discussion on whether to meet by Zoom or in person. And at the end of the day, the vote was to meet full commission meetings will be in person, but subcommittees can be remote by Zoom access. Coachella Valley Housing Coalition had its 40th anniversary gala. They've been a great partner here in our city for creating housing and providing homes for people that wouldn't otherwise have them. They announced that they're at their 5,000th home that they've provided somebody. So, 3.6 people per family times 5,000, that's a lot of people. Somebody's math is better than mine. You can give me the number later. Attended the Airport Land Use Commission, nothing there. Attended the Day of the Dead Festival, and I got to say, it was a really good job, Roger. That was looked like a really fun event. Roberta, I know you were out there working hard. I'm sure there's a bunch of other city staff doing that. Looks like it's growing. I think this year it was better than last. And hey, no wind, right? A little bit of rain, so a little bit of rain. But it was a really good, fun event. I really thank you for your efforts putting that together. Let's see what else. I think that's it, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just a couple of quick things to mention. No outside meetings the last couple of weeks. And I'll echo Councilmember Betts and say good job to my colleague, Mr. Nunez, for the Dia de los Muertos celebration. The weather, well, haboobs come and go, and rain and all that stuff. And it's too bad those vendors didn't stick it out because the crowd seemed to enjoy it. And the car show, I thought, was the best part of it. But and thank you for letting me judge the art contest as well. It was really hard to pick from such an amazing group of young artists. City manager mentioned it too. I was going to give a shout out to those staff that went to that conference up in Sacramento. Great job. Our staff is considered a leader in the cannabis compliance and regulation front. It's great to see them finally recognized for that. And I wanted to note that Assistant City Manager, Deputy City Manager Doria Wilms is also on a League of California Cities panel for cannabis coming up in the next week or so. So it's nice to finally be seen for the leaders that we are. And the last thing that I have today, this is cool. As I promised a couple of weeks ago, we finally got our new hiking maps from a joint project between the Coachella Valley Mountains Conservancy and Visit Greater Palm Springs. They're out, they're stocked at the front desk, so for people that want to pick one up, you can. It was an 8-month now project, and I'm glad to see it finally come to fruition. And this was the first one that they've done. We brought together, it's nice to see synergy and have people working together. So we brought the Mountains Conservancy, who manages and builds and constructs the trails, together with the absolute marketing brilliance of Visit Greater Palm Springs, and they created this along with our city staff. And ours was the first one, and they'll be doing 3 more, a Mid-Valley one, a Palm Springs one, and an East Valley one. So like I like to say, when someone tells you to go take a hike, well, come over to City Hall, pick up a map, and you can tell them where to go. All right, that's all I've got.
Hey, Gary, I see they misspelled Desert Hot Springs here.
Give him a heart attack. Mr. Nunez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to say, I want to thank that gentleman that came up. Sorry that he left. Caden Cross for bringing up the beautification committee. I was going to invite him to be a part of it, and hopefully if he's seeing this at home that he can reach out to us and we can get his input. I would love to see young volunteers providing their input and how we grow and shape the city. So thank you, Mr. Mayor, with that. Just quick, yesterday the mayor and I did a 2x2 with the Palm Springs Unified School District. And we had quite a few things to talk about. One of them was the beautification program and how we want to get the schools involved and do that. I think the mayor's going to speak about that more on his sharing. One thing I mentioned with the school district is that I wanted to see more, well, not more. I wanted to see a crosswalk at the school at Painted Hills and also Bella Vista. That's the only school in Desert Hot Springs that does not have a crosswalk. Also, we've been seeing a lot of racing down Jalisco. That's right in front of the schools themselves. So I wanted to see if we can do maybe some speed humps or get a feel for with the school, partner with them to see what we can do to put speed humps there. That way there's no racing. just in the morning in general, the traffic there is chaotic. So I think we just got to do, just a little bit just to control. With the crosswalks, maybe we can have the kids put together with the art compilation. That way they can provide that in the crosswalk. That way we get parents to slow down when they're dropping off their kids or after school when people are going back and forth. We also brought up opening the high school field for people, for the public to walk. I think that's every high school in the valley should be doing that. I think maybe like 4 or 5 of them are doing that. So I think it's important for our residents to know that that high school track and field is open for them to do laps at night. It's a safe place to do it. So I'm hoping that the school district will agree to that. I know they said they're going to be working on it, so hopefully we can see that sooner than later. Another issue not issue, but another thing I asked for the school district is that we look at the Winslow field that's not being utilized. Hoping that the school district will look at it and maybe open it up for the public. And if we can come to agreement with the city and the school district to see we'll take responsibility for it, we can utilize it and open it up for our residents. Let me see, the last thing I have, I wanted to see if we can maybe have the conversation with council and staff to see if we can have a specific plan for the Highway 62 and maybe work on a monument that we could start working on that area. I think that area is very vital for our future for the city, so I'm willing to have that conversation with any council member and staff to see what we can do a specific plan just for the growth and the future goal for that area. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Ms. Pye?
I attended the Seroptimus Club. Oh, you want to hear me, huh? Yeah. House of Hope. What they have a sober living residence here, and this was their big fundraiser, and they've been here since 1981. And it's good to see people who have recovered over 20 years or more. And they really do a good job. Eric B., you're supposed to brag. They did the cannabis conference. You're supposed to be bragging. People said, what happened? A lot of people said, you know what you're doing, and you know how you're doing it. And now a bunch of other cities are going to come to Desert Hot Springs to find out how we do it. So when we do something right, brag about it. You can do. This is Food Now. The 2022 nonprofit Desert Fast Pitch participants happened. It was 16 contestants. It was dropped down to 6. And the 6 were Palm Springs International Piano Competition, Elder Love, Food Now, Act for MS, Children Discovery Museum of the Desert, and Naomi Coachella Valley. The people who did attend, they received $1,000 to participate in the workshop, and in the semifinal, contestants also received an additional $1,000. Food Now came in as for most innovative, and that was $15,000. And so Dana is working with CVRM tonight doing another pitch, and so he couldn't be here. But congratulations to Food Now. And that ends my report.
Awesome, very awesome. I know, Mr. Gardner, you had some photos that you were so excited about the paper, you forgot to do the photos.
I forgot to look at the pictures, so we'll run through them real quick here. Also, by the way, the QR code takes you to an electronic version of it if you want to scan it with that. And that's the overall view of everything here in and around Desert Hot Springs. Some of the stuff goes up as far as Morongo Valley, including Long Canyon Trail. But the rest of the trails are all right here with rare exceptions within walking distance of anybody in Desert Hot Springs. So, and inside you get a elevation gain, length, whether or not you can bring your dog, and a little bit of a description and some photos. So it was a long 8-month project, and I think it looks really well, and I think most of our visitors and residents will get some great use out of it, and we'll see some more use on our trails out there.
Thank you, everybody. I'll try to be quick. I have to have a root canal tomorrow, so my mouth is killing me, and I know you're all excited. Would anybody like to take it for me? Staff, why are you laughing? I'm not being serious here. My pain here. I attended the cleanup committee. Also, I wanted to touch base with what Councilmember Nunez was talking about a little bit in a little more detail. So I was told today by our code enforcement manager that they've gotten an influx of phone calls from the interviews that have gone on about this program. Please be patient out there. If your business qualifies, and that'll be up to code enforcement on how it qualifies, they're going to get more information out there on how you'll qualify for the small business. We're calling it grant or cleanup or whatever we're calling it. Our neighborhoods have not been picked yet, so I know I've had a lot of phone calls from people that saw the announcement but didn't listen to the whole message, which is the committee's going to pick a neighborhood, start in a neighborhood. We'll announce that neighborhood once we get there. So please be patient with the program. Again, it's a pilot program. We're going to be getting out there to do some cleanups in our business district and our neighborhoods. And then we're finalizing a date on some educational programs in our schools, which will end in a cleanup for the community, and we'll get that out there real soon. So just be patient. If you do have questions, again, you can call the City Hall and ask the questions, but there has been a very large influx of phone calls, I heard, so please be patient. I was asked to do a presentation at College of the Desert on the past history of what the college has or has not done for our community. And so I had a couple council members, some staff members that had joined me last Friday. Was it last Friday? Yeah, last Friday. Time flies. Last Friday, and we were able to give a presentation to these and their staff on the history of Desert Hot Springs and College of the Desert. I think it went pretty well. I was able to hopefully enlighten some of the new trustees on the path of why Desert Hot Springs doesn't have what was promised to us. And we hope to have better relationships with College of the Desert in the future, and I do feel it's promising. So moving along on that, I do a quarterly meeting with the Desert Hot Springs High School principal, Mr. Tanako, and we met to talk about the issues that face our community. He's an amazing principal for our community. If everybody remembers, about a year ago, we were having quite a few problems at the school, and you can't just blame it on the principal themselves. There was a lot of factors in that. We were coming out of COVID. There was a lot of changes, went down that road. That principal decided to move on to another position, I believe in another school district, which left an opening at our Desert Hot Springs High School. Mr. Tanako had been a principal in our elementary school, middle school of ours, and he was promoted to Desert Hot Springs High School. It was kind of a middle of the year thing, so there wasn't a lot you can do, just come in and try to put out fires, I'm assuming. But his first full year has started, and he's doing amazing work with our youth in our community, not only with the youth in the community at the high school, because that's his job, but he's reaching out to principals within our community, not even the principals that belong to Palm Springs Unified School District, building relationships in our community, and he knows a lot of those kids that have come up through elementary and middle school, so he's built a lot of respect. I was asked to come and give help hand out certificates for Student of the Month. I think our deputy chief did it last month, and they're going to kind of go through the ranks in City Hall and maybe ask council members or city staff, just somebody to come help hand out these Students of the Month, which hasn't been done at the high school level very often for a long time. And we had, it must have been 20 different Students of the Month for different grades. It's kind of cool, and he had parents there, and it was just really nice to see. So I was really happy to see that. He's really making real change in our community, so I'm very happy about that. At the same time, Councilmember Nunez sits on the 2x2 meeting with Palm Springs Unified School District and myself. We meet with them quarterly, or try to. We haven't had a meeting quarterly in a while, but we finally had it scheduled. We met with the superintendent of the school and the board of trustee member, John Girardi, and we talked about the issues that were facing us, as Mr. Nunez had talked about. And he's bringing things back to light that had kind of been buried for a while because of COVID and other things, and trying to get those things pushed off. So I'm totally supporting what he's trying to push with the school district, getting that track reopened before COVID 5 years ago or so. Councilmember Annie Ellie Zavala was here, and she was really pushing that. And I think there was an agreement, so Mr. Nunez brought it back up, and I think we're going to be able to dig that out and get that back open for the community, which would be great. And then we talked about, as he said, some of the other things facing our city with our youth, and so a lot of good conversation with our superintendent, and our city manager attended that meeting with us. So moving forward, I think we have some good relationships built with the school district, and we'll be making some progress in our schools. Let's see. I heard a lot of talk tonight about the Highway 62 Pearson. And man, I love hearing the talk about it because it's something that I've been passionate about for years. I really think it's a corridor that we need to capture business-wise. Residential is going to start building out there. Talked to Sean about it many times since he's been here as our new economic development manager. And again, even though he's a San Diego fan, we're going to get over that. Sorry, I just got to get all the digs I can because you're going to win the World Series this year, right? No pressure. So, no, really focusing on that corridors, I think it's important. As I always say when people talk about this, you had over 2 million visitors to Joshua Tree each year, is on average now. And so we're missing a huge opportunity in our community. As one of the speakers came up and said that the corner of Highway 62 and Pearson is one of our gateway entries, it is. And we're working on bringing traffic signals. Our assistant city manager is working with Caltrans on that. We're working to build more signage. But we've got to really focus on that corridor because I think there's a gold mine for retail opportunities there. So I'll support any conversation on that also. Let's see here. The STVRs were brought up tonight. I also didn't want to start a conversation with the whole council, but I just wanted to say that the hotline's out there. We are getting phone calls. Don't hesitate to call if you think it is. I know that the first week they did an analysis, and out of the calls, half of them were not STVRs, they were actual residents, but there were still noise complaints to be made there. But that happens, and this is a good thing because they're not only out there looking for violators with the short-term rentals, but they're finding noise complaints that they can handle and help keep neighborhoods sane, when it comes to this kind of stuff. So don't hesitate to call that line if you need to, and our staff will get on it as quick as possible. We have that contract in place, and I think it's working. I believe it's working. And then probably about 3 or 4 more months, I don't know how long it's been now, we'll bring that back to talk a little bit more about the areas and how they are impacting certain neighborhoods, and we'll go from there, as promised. And lastly, the state of the city, I keep making the announcement, but that will happen on November 17th. So if you want to go to the November 17th, if you want, sorry, my mouth really hurts. I'm going to talk. Russ, if you want to yell at me tonight, I'm probably not going to yell back.
I wanted to let you know I had a root canal appointment tomorrow, but I did the sensible thing and canceled the appointment. So
I would, but man, that's really aching. But State of the City will be at the Health and Wellness Center. They'll be hosted by the Greater Coachella Valley Chamber of Commerce. We'll be meeting. It's usually a little expo and then the lunch, and you get to hear me speak for about 3 hours. So come on down. I'm joking. It's less than an hour. I do it fast. I do. But a lot of great things to happen. Where staff has really put together a good package for me to talk about, and I'll be excited about it. So looking forward to it. It'll be our Health and Wellness Center again on the 17th, probably around noonish. So if you want to go to their website, I'm pretty sure they have the announcement on there. They'll probably be getting tickets sold for lunch. That's all I have tonight. We're going to actually move to our public hearings, and our first item is a continuance from the October 4th, 2022 meeting. This is a resolution adopting revised user fees list to the user fee schedule. This was an item that was tabled due to the fact that there was some of the fees weren't exactly correct on there. So to make them transparent and make sure they were correct, we tabled that item to this meeting. So we're going to go to the staff report first. Mr. Buckheim.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is a public hearing to revise the city's user fee schedule. In June 2020, the city adopted its current user fee schedule, which was based on the user fee study completed in April 2020. As city operations change, new programs are added, and new regulations are enacted, it becomes necessary for the city to revise its user fees and add new ones. The fees are based on reasonable estimated costs borne by the city to provide the services. Staff is proposing to revise 4 fees based on changes in operation. Those fees are block wall, planning building review fee, vacation rental fee, and water quality management preliminary plan review. Staff is also recommending adding 25 new fees, which include fees related to SB 9 lot splitting, plan check fees, fire plan check fees, and recreation fees. The new fees are based on reasonable costs borne by the city, except for the recreation fees, which are either fees already set by the council or were the same fees that were charged by Borrego before the city took over the recreation facilities. The proposed changes to the user fee schedule were noticed to the public and were sent to requesting agencies, including the Desert Valley Builders Association. Staff recommends approval of the resolution adopting the proposed user fee revisions.
Thank you very much. This would be the time the council could ask any questions, but we haven't heard public testimony yet, and I don't want to get into the debate yet. But this is an opportunity to ask any technical questions that you haven't had a chance to ask staff before the meeting. Ms. Pye, anything? Mr. Nunez, anything?
The only question is, how often do we look at the fees to review them? Is it annually or is it biannually?
We tend to look, we look at the fees as needed. Best practice is actually to do a revision or look at the fees on an annual basis.
Very well. Mr. Gardner? Mr. Betts? All right, so we're going to open the public hearing at this time, and we're going to take any testimony in favor of this item. Would anybody like to speak in favor of this? Would anybody like to speak in opposed to this? Would anybody like to speak in neutral position and just talk? I see nobody coming forth. We're going to close the public hearing at this time, and we'll go back to comments of staff. Mr. Betts, you're going to go first.
Thank you. I want to thank the staff for their time earlier today to go over this. Spent considerable time on it. I want to apologize to the council because I got a few questions, so I just want to go through this. Starting with the block wall fee, and I'm going off the staff report instead of the one down below, just to keep it easier. So we're going from 215 for the first 300 feet, and then 50 cents per linear foot after that, which is a slight increase. I mean, from 215 and 57 per 500 linear feet. So we're increasing the cost of inspecting a block wall, right? That's basically what we're doing here. Is we looked at our fees, reviewed them, and now we're increasing our cost. You can forget that. It was a good question. Vacation rental fee. You've got a nexus on that, and so that's $1,241.81 to get a vacation rental application. What did I want to see here? All right, so the SB 9 urban lot split, that has to do with the legislature telling us that despite what our lots are, somebody can now come on and do a lot split. And is the state legislature allowing us to charge $1,165 to review that?
Yes, so this cost is based on how much staff time it would take to do that lot split. And so it's based on the amount of staff time times the fully burdened hourly rate. So this is allowing the SB 9 is allowing agencies to do a lot split, and this cost is based on how much time it would take staff to do that.
Okay, I guess my question is, I mean, they're telling us that we have to allow a 5-foot setback instead of a 10-foot setback. Garages can be converted to living space, whether we like it or not. And I'm just asking, have they blessed this fee? Are they allowing us to set our own fees now, or are they telling us we can't do that either because it is discouraging housing?
I'm not aware of SB 9 actually setting a fee for a city.
Well, get ready, they probably will. Okay, and then we have fire plan check and permit fee for new multi-residential hotel. What's that for? The fire plan check permit fee, fire plan check. Is this to do plan check when somebody's going to build a house?
This is for a plan check as well as the permit fee for building a multi-residential hotel, also for commercial, industrial. So these are, kind of the fire plan checks and permits is for any type of, construction for even the regular permit fees or plan checks. But this is cost based on fire department doing their.
Okay, so when somebody's submitting plans for plan check, they go to our outside plan checkers who have the ability to check fire code, whatever our local exceptions or additions to the fire code are. Is this optional where they can decide they just want to use the regular plan check, or is this now a fee in addition to, the outside plan checkers can certainly do fire code plan check.
Let me just give a little further explanation. This plan check fee, these are a lot of fire fees. Currently, they're charged to Riverside County Fire Department. Our fire inspector plan checks them here, but the residents and the property owners and developers have to take their plan checks in Riverside County offices, and then they plan check them here. This will allow them to come in, pay here, and remain here at one-stop shop.
Okay, but do they have to do a plan check with the outside plan checker?
No.
And now this is in addition to that?
Yes.
This is a mandatory fee. Now they have to have the fire department also
Yes.
getting in on plan check?
Fire department has always been plan checking.
Well,
fire
not
plans.
always, but.
Yes.
Okay. And have we settled in that a family at the aquatic center is not a family of four? So you put a family of four here. When the council originally set the user fee, we just said a family, and then somebody has imposed that a family of four, so a family of six has got to pay an extra 50 cents. Have we settled in on that? Is the council okay with calling a family of four? We're not going to call it a family of six? We had quite a bit of uproar over that on social media, saying, what do you mean you don't like my family? We got 6 people in my family. Can we make that a family of 6? And see what else we got here. It's harder. I wish I had my paper printout. All right, I can't find it here. Mr. Mayor, maybe you can come back to me. I had a couple more questions, but I'm not finding them.
Mr. Gardner? Ms. Pye? Mr. Nunez?
Yes, I have some. Going back to the vacation rental fee, did we also include the business license fee for renting your house in consideration with this?
So actually, the business license fee is a separate fee. So you have to get to have a vacation rental, you have to get a business license first.
Right.
And then when you apply for the vacation rental, you have to you have to provide a copy of your business license for it.
Okay, but also, we need a business license for if Mrs. Pye wants to rent out her house to anybody for long-term, a year, two-year lease, there's also a business license required also, correct?
Yes.
So we didn't look at those
It's not
fees?
related to the STVR fee, though.
Right. So we didn't look at those fees, how it's going to change relative to the vacation rental fees?
No, business license fees are on their own. They're set independently.
Okay. And then the other thing, going back to the recreation, for basketball, volleyball, gym, annual membership, for summer camp, for winter break and spring break programs, if we do have children or a child that can't afford it, I'll be more than happy to cover the cost, and I would challenge my council members to do the same if there's a child that can't afford any of these programs. Thank you.
Make a few comments. I'll take that challenge on. So if a family of 6 shows up and they need the extra 50 cents, I'm paying that. No, you're paying the basketball fee. I'm paying the 50 cents. Basketball fees more. No, I will take that challenge, and I'll be there to assist anyone that needs financial assistance also. I think capping just to answer Mr. Bett's question, because he kind of pointed at all of us, and I think I'm the only one going to answer it. A family of 4 is reasonable. If you have a family of 6 or 8, I mean, we're already capped at a quarter a person. I'm capped at $1 for 4 people. We're not collecting enough to pay for the services there, so it comes out of the general fund. So it's not that someone has to pay for it, is what it comes down to. So I would support the 4. I don't think it's unreasonable to ask an extra 50 cents from someone with a family of 6, but that's just me. And the reason I say that is I want to explain user fees. And this is always a misnomer by a lot of people out there, is that the city's charging these extravagant fees. It's against the law. We have to do these studies so that we can show what staff time is being used, and we need to collect. We can't make a profit. What we can do is charge for the staff's time. If we don't charge for our staff's time, such as the pool, then you, the taxpayers in our community, pay for that. It comes out of the general fund. So if we don't recoup our fees for our lifeguards and our program aides or whatever you call their titles there, then you, the taxpayers, are going to pay it through your property taxes, through hopefully guests coming to see to our communities, through TOT or sales tax that's spent. So we have to balance that, is what I'm saying. And so when we put these fee studies together and we do these studies and we bring the fees up, it's because we pay people to do that work. And so that's what it comes down to, is it's taxpayers versus the user of that service. So that's how we've got to be able to make it as reasonable as possible, but we have to try to recoup our fees. Again, it's against the law for us to make a profit on this, so am I correct on that? Is it against the law? Yeah, okay.
That's correct.
I just want to make sure I was saying that right. I didn't want to say something I thought I had said that, heard that. But anyways, I'll get off that. So staff time, when it comes down to collecting staff time, they have to do an analysis. They have to see how many staff members it's going to take to get out there, how many departments it's going to go through, and that's how the studies are done. So if you disagree with the time of the study and how much time that staff's going to do that, I think that's time to talk to city staff about that, so they can take you on a field trip and show you that staff member's job and what they do. Because a lot of times I think with as many departments that we have and as our city's growing, it's hard to understand an inspector that you never see here in these council chambers and you rarely see in your normal life, but if you all of a sudden you decide to build that add-on to your garage now that the legislators allowed that inspector shows up and you're like, who are you? And that person is getting paid by the taxpayers of our city, so how do we recoup that? And if a developer comes into our community to develop, it's their fair share to pay for those services. So I think we want to be a city that is welcome, and I think we do that at our counters with our customer service, but we also need to try to recoup our fees for the taxpayers of our community so that they're not burdened when these services are used. So I don't have a problem with the study the way it is. I would support 4 people, and I'll pay the 50 cents for the extra people to go through the doors, and we can just move on with this and go from there.
I remembered my point now. So, but first off, I probably wasn't very clear on the 4 people in the pools. We had a big discussion on this at one point in time when this first came up. They wanted to charge exactly what it cost to use the pool, which would have been $7 a person or something like that. And then when it finally got all hashed out, the point was just to let everybody use it. And the point was the council had very specifically taken up that issue. Somebody said, well, what's a family? We said, whoever shows up is a family. And then a policy got implemented at the pool without the council to say it was 4. And so I'm just noting here that we're now...
If you had my family show up, there's about 16 that like to go swimming, so that
That's
wouldn't be
good. Let 'em
fair.
come on.
That wouldn't be fair.
So anyhow, I'm just saying I'm just rejoining what the council did way back when, probably this problem of being up here so long. The other point I had here was, under new single-family resident grading permit fee, the new fee is $460 for the first 3 reviews. And so if somebody submits their plans and staff says, you got it close, but you're not quite, then it comes back. And let's say they resubmit and the staff says, well, you know what, you tried, but you didn't get it again. You missed what we're trying to tell you to do. And then it comes back again. They can do that 3 times, not getting it right. The flip side of that is we have something called new and different corrections, which should be somebody submits something for plan check, and this is a common complaint of developers, and they say, okay, great, I didn't get it right, I fixed it, and they fixed everything they were told to fix, and then when they submit it back for plan check, they get new and different corrections coming back that they didn't know about. Now they have to go and pay their architect to go make those changes, which isn't always easy when you got to go through multiple sets of plans. Maybe for a grading plan, it's not that big a deal. So this is only if they're messing up, but they're not got to pay if they get new and different corrections 4 times. They're not got to go pay that fee again, are they?
This is for grading only, and no, they pay for the grading hourly rate, whatever hour it takes the staff to review it.
But it says $460 for the first 3 reviews.
Correct.
So if staff comes back with new and different corrections 4 times?
Staff doesn't do that, and we have verified that. We do it in-house. These are grading plan checks.
Okay, so grading plan's not going to be that same issue as the...
We've had 1 submittal probably that I can count, that we've had more than 3 reviews out of hundreds. So it shouldn't take more than 3 reviews.
Well, they sure complain about it when you talk to them. So, okay, good. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
Great. If I don't have any other comments, I'll entertain
I move we adopt the resolution with the revised user fees and list of user fee schedule.
Easy for you to say.
Yes.
I'll
As a
s-
professional, it's really tough.
I'll second, and I'll take Mr. Nunez and your, whatever you said.
Challenge?
Is it?
Yes,
is
your
it like,
challenge.
Do we need to put that in there as a sponsorship or?
I'll make an amended motion that
I-
Jan, Scott, and
Yeah.
Roger are paying all
That's
fees.
exactly what was going to happen. I wouldn't put it in the motion, but I think you have our word. Is that fair enough?
That's fair enough.
Roberta's going, I know,
will
I
reach
know
out
people.
to you if that's the case, yes.
We'll start with Russ first.
Yeah. All right, I do have a motion and a second when it comes on the screen. Mr., would you, yep, thank you, Ms. Gardner. Ms. Pye, would you second it on the screen? Do you have any further comments? Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
All right, we're going to move to the administrative calendar, item number 4, OneFuture Coachella Valley funding request. And our deputy city manager arrived just in time for this
But
item.
it's not going to be me presenting this item. It will actually be our Community Development Director, Erica Besserow.
Good evening, everybody. So today we have a request for funding from OneFuture. So a little bit about OneFuture. They're a local Coachella Valley nonprofit that assists local students throughout the Desert Hot Springs and Coachella Valley. They have a clear and economic and academic path to and through college. And what they do is they really work on getting these kids through all the different programs to get them to be successful in getting their degrees, their credentials, and certifications. They as well work on them on the next step, which is getting and landing a job and actually creating a financial path for them. On top of that, the kids that graduate through these programs, they're able to contribute back to your economy, and they do so. Since 2009, OneFuture, Coachella Valley and its nonprofit partners have awarded more than $16 million in scholarships to 2,600 students in the Coachella Valley. So the funding request from OneFuture, it proposes $25,000 agreement with the City of Desert Hot Springs. $20,000 of that is to support college and career pathway programs and financial aid assessment, as well as support services for the students and families for the students in Desert Hot Springs. They also have a Gents Alliance program that addresses barriers to college and career success amongst young men from the Desert Hot Springs. They've worked on additional projects to develop career exploration events and activities to introduce K-16 students to careers in public service and government. $5,000 of this, of the $25,000, is for scholarship fund base, which will be matched dollar for dollar with Valley nonprofits and foundations to support Desert Hot Springs students. So accomplishments in 2021. They have 15 new scholar awards awarded in the partnership with community partners. Total funds awarded was $30,000 through OneFuture and matching partners. Colleges and universities, they have 4 California State University students, 1 community college, 1 out of state, and 9 University of California students. These all range in different majors, and I put them up here because a lot of them are relatable to our community. Hopefully we get to see them come back. We have biochemistry that can tie with cannabis. We have pharmaceutical science, electrical engineering with community development, hospitality management's a really big thing here, and a big part of our economic landscape. And obviously my favorite, landscape architecture and plant science. That's pretty neat. They have 5 males and 10 females that were awarded this. And they also have the Black and African American Healthcare Scholarship Fund, which was launched in 2021 with $100,000 available for students in the Coachella Valley. Elisa Everett, counselor from the Desert Hot Springs High School, is one on the steering committee and works with students to apply for the scholarship. City of Desert Hot Springs additional expanded investment for the 2021 and 22 academic year. Abraham Duran Diaz was awarded $3,000 from this fund and was matched 1-to-1 with partner organizations. In 2022, they have 14 new scholars that were awarded scholarships. $34,250 was awarded through OneFuture and matching partners. Some of the universities: 4 California State Universities, 3 community colleges, 1 out of state, 1 private college, and 7 universities of University of California students, all ranging in different majors. 1 male and 13 females. Scholarship total since 2009, over 1.9 million in scholarship awards to Desert Hot Springs residents. Over 480 scholarships awarded to Desert Hot Springs residents. They've graduated with over 1,400 students in the Coachella Valley with a degree or certificate or credential. This comes to a total of 171 master's degrees and 17 doctorate degrees for the Coachella Valley. The recommendation is to consider $25,000 scholarship proposed from OneFuture to provide educational services to the City of Desert Hot Springs residents. And we have some OneFuture representatives here in the audience if they would like to come up, or whenever they're ready to come up. And that concludes my report.
Sheila's not shy. I know she'll come up and say a few words.
Not at all. And I want to say, I had 4 babies and a root canal 25 years ago or 30 years ago. But I had a root canal 3 months ago, and I almost would prefer the childbirth to the root canal.
Thank you.
It was
Thank you
terrible. So I'm sorry.
I think I am canceling it tomorrow, Mr. Beth.
So very sorry.
The doctor told me the other day, he's like, oh, they're so much better now. And I'm like, the doctor's telling me this, so I'll hold him to it.
No, I'm just playing with you. But just so grateful to work with Eric on this and and your staff. This has been a great partnership, and I think just as you've seen, this is a huge investment in students from Desert Hot Springs. I wanted to just point out a couple of things. One is you can notice the smaller percentage of young men that are getting scholarships. That's because the rate of young men going to college and enrolling and even applying is half that, so about 30% of our applicants are young men, which is why we include in our work the Gents Alliance initiative. So we're actually working with College of the Desert now to identify 150 young men who we can give extra support services to that are more relevant to their pathway. And so that's available to Desert Hot Springs students as well. They just need different supports at this point and really need some support to understand what that career pathway looks like. The other thing I wanted to mention that Eric talked about was we did launch the Black and African American Healthcare Scholarship Initiative this last year, and it was really to address the low rate of entry into higher level health professions among our Black and African American students, and specifically to address what their needs are, what are the things that are obstacles to them succeeding. So of the 10 students who were awarded 2-year scholarships, one of them was from Desert Hot Springs, and her name is Sasha Hudson. She got a $10,000 2-year scholarship, and she's at Johns Hopkins University studying nursing. So we hope we get to bring her back to work in the jobs here, because we're also working with the hospitals to see what we can't do to incentivize students to come back, because we've got facing a healthcare workforce crisis. The last thing I will say also is we started a partnership with Greater, I get this, CVB is now Greater Coachella Valley. Visit Greater Palm Springs. I know they're going to be mad at me for botching that. I'm sorry, Scott. But we started a partnership this year to specifically think about how we can get students to understand the breadth of careers in hospitality, because people think about front desk, they think about food service and other, but there's a whole lot of other things involved in that, just like in healthcare. There's financial services and marketing and other. So we're kind of digging into that. With the CVB, they've become a matching partner. So I just appreciate the investment you all have made, and that you were the first city in and supporting this, and it's made a big difference for students. So,
Well, we appreciate you and what you're doing here. It's a program that I think has really done good for our community and let alone the students in the district or in your area. So with that said, I'll open it up for public comments first, and then we'll come back to council. They might have questions for you. I'll bring you back up in a second.
Okay.
Is there anybody in the public that would like to speak to this item? Okay, I see nobody speaking to the item. I'll open it up for council's questions, comments. Spy?
No, I'm ready for a motion.
All right. I'll go down the line. I'll come back to you. Mr. Nunez. Mr. Gardner?
No, again, this is an amazing program. 4 years I've been up here watching it grow, watching everything you've done, watching us get these kids through higher education is amazing. And I'm really glad you're working with Visit GPS on the hospitality angle of things, because that is something everybody struggles with, and the healthcare piece too, because both of those industries here in the valley are really short of workers. And what is sad to me is the number of kids that don't think there are pathways for them to school. I can't tell you how many kids I've talked to here in the city that don't even know that they can go to COD free We, as a council, as a city, as parents, as community members, and everybody involved in education are failing these kids by not letting them know of the programs and the things that are out there. I talk to a lot of kids who say, I could never go to college. And I say, no, there's a million different ways that you can get there if you want to. We have fantastic organizations like Dr. Carrion Foundation, all these other organizations that will help them get out there. And I think we really need to focus on a coordinated educational effort in the high schools to let these kids know of those programs. And so, bless you for everything you're doing. I think this is exciting. I love being able to give you some funds for our kids here in Desert Hot Springs, and we're happy to do it every year, so thank you.
Mr. Betts?
Mr. Mayor, if Councilwoman Pai is going to make the motion, I'd be happy to make the second.
All right, I just, yeah, if you don't have any other comments, go right ahead.
Thank you. I'd move that we.
Did I skip you? Sorry.
No.
Okay.
No, go ahead. Sorry, the motion's yours.
Okay, I move staff's recommendation. And you do your second. I just want to say one thing.
Mr. Betts, you're going to second it? Okay. So it is motion and second. Go ahead, Ms. Pai.
Part of what you have done as an assistant city manager for the city of Desert Hot Springs, a person at Desert Palm Springs Unified School District, and one council member. That's all I wanted to say.
All right, with that said, I do have a motion and a second on the screen. If we have no more discussion, please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Congratulations, thank you. Thank you very much. Go challenge those other cities. Thanks for coming out tonight. Our next item is going to be item number 5, which is the budget adjustments for 2022-23 fiscal year. Mr. Buckheim?
Thank you. So here we have the 22-23 fiscal year budget adjustments. Our budget adjustments for this year, the reasons we have to incorporate updated information and program changes since the budget was adopted in June 2021. And help to continue with the day-to-day operations of the city. These adjustments contain general and emergency repairs, maintenance, and improvements to city and public property. They also include public safety facility improvement projects, which will be funded by the new bonds, and they account for unanticipated events that have already occurred during this year. We've also included the changes in the bargaining unit MOUs that were approved in 2021. Included additional contract services to mitigate code enforcement issues as well as homeless issues. Includes expanded recreation programs and replacement of equipment. And here we go. In part of the 22-23 budget adjustments, we are requesting the use $275,000 to use $275,000 of the preliminary fiscal year 21-22 estimated $404,000 surplus to fund updated Parks Master Plan, which in the amount of $150,000, and the Enhanced Police Department Recruitment Program in the amount of $125,000. These are both one-time expenses, which is why we are requesting use of fund balance for that. We are also requesting a $100,000 increase in spending authority in the Arts and Public Places Fund for the following programs: a mural program, sign program, and may include student public art contribution. And each of these programs will be presented to the City Council for approval before implementation. Of the Consolidated General Fund revenue adjustments, we are adjusting the budget to over $2,065,000, which includes an increase in property taxes, transient occupancy tax, sales tax, franchise fees, grants, and other revenue changes. The Consolidated General Fund expenditure adjustments includes increases in salaries and benefits, contract services, supplies and maintenance, equipment and vehicles, a reduction of transfers out for a total of $2,065,422, and as well as the $275,000 one-time expenditures. As for the Consolidated General Fund, as we see for fiscal year 21-22, we have the preliminary unaudited surplus to be added to fund balance is $404,000. We're requesting use of $275,000 of that for one-time expenses. The adopted budget for fiscal year 22-23 was $245,207, with revenue increases of $2,065,857, expenditure increases of $2,065,422. The amended budget surplus for, which should read 22-23, should be $245,642. For the restricted funds, we are requesting expenditure adjustments for over 25.4 million, which includes the public safety improvement projects from the bonds, also several capital improvement projects which are funded by grants, and several other projects. These increases in expenditures will be covered by either increases in revenues or from the fund balance available in those funds. And I'm available for any questions.
Thank you for the staff report. Is there anybody in the audience that would like to speak in public comments on this? I see nobody coming forth. We'll close public comments. And which way did I start last time? I'll start this way.
No questions.
Ms. Nunez? No. Mr. Gardner? Mr. Betts?
I'll be quick.
Sure.
So on the art in public places, this goes back to another debate when that came in place. My understanding is it's supposed to be used for fixed art. And I know there's a lot of people who wanted to use it for like educational programs and arts. Can you put up that slide again showing what you're showing there? And signs. At one time, somebody wanted to tap into the art in public places program to create a entrance sign, use the money for that, and looked at the ordinance and said, no, that's not what it's supposed to be used for. I don't know, what does it mean, sign program?
I can give more detail.
The one I just mentioned? Okay, so I would like to have the city attorney go and take a careful review of that ordinance and then get back to us, and let us know what we can and can't do with that. And certainly if the program's gonna evolve, then the council wants to add things like that. I'm not here objecting to that. There's a process that we should follow where that comes back to the council and says, okay, we're going to do that. And then also think any project should come forward to the council, not just be staff review because we have the budget. We used to have CCAC, Community and Cultural Affairs Commission, that would look at these, review them, and sort them out. And I don't want to replace CCAC with just staff. I want some type of public review and our review. And if you're shaking your heads, yes, that's the way it works, great, I'm happy. I'm just reiterating the point here. And so those are my points on that. Jeffrey, I want to thank you for your time today in the meeting. You give me a lot of confidence that the we're getting good and accurate numbers. You got a real good command of this, and I thank you for that. And Jeffrey reminded me when I said, hey, we're taking in a lot of extra money, but we're also spending it. And he says, well, you guys keep voting for these programs, so if that's what you want to do, I'll make sure and record it. So I think, times are good right now, but we were all here remembering when the budget was said to be 15 and it was really 13 and struggling. And I just want to, have a look at, how much we spend, and we took in 32 million and we're only saving 245,642 of that as a surplus. And what was it? You probably got the exact number. I might have wrote it down wrong. But we're spending, almost all of that anyhow. So just entering a budget cautionary note here. But again, Jeffrey, thank you so much for the work you're doing here. You're really doing a great job.
Thank you.
All right, I have no comments, so I'll entertain a motion.
Move we adopt the budget adjustments for fiscal year 2022-23.
A motion, is there a second? Ms. Pye, second it. Any more discussion? Please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item number 6 is our Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc. Fleet Leasing and Replacement Program and Fleet Maintenance Program. Mr. Hickory?
Thank you. Good evening. The city's fleet currently includes 28 vehicles assigned to various departments, excluding vehicles assigned to public safety. These vehicles range from light-duty crossover vehicles to heavy-duty trucks. primarily used in the city's Public Works Department and Code Compliance Department. In the past year, the city has not had a fleet replacement program and has not replaced on a regular basis. As a result, some of the city's fleet has aged to the point that in many cases the annual cost and staff time to maintain an aging unit exceeds its salvage value. Currently, the city's fleet includes 8 compressed natural gas CNG vehicles that are up to 7 years old, which are being utilized for critical operations. Currently, there is a high demand for all types of used vehicles. Inflated salvage values of CNG vehicles that would not normally be this high makes the timing to sell these and replace these vehicles optimal. City staff who utilizes the CNG vehicles daily have had to fill up natural gas fuel every day and in some cases 2 times a day. These vehicles are used for daily use as well as an emergency response. There's only one filling station for CNG vehicles in Desert Hot Springs located at Mission Springs Water District's corporate yard. If there's an emergency and the filling station is not available, Desert Hot Springs critical response would have to account for an hour round trip to fill up at the next filling station. Currently, city staff is handling all maintenance scheduling in-house. This has become tedious process as the vehicle's CNG fuel line and the tanks have developed wear and tear. As a more difficult challenge has been locating certified mechanics to perform work on CNG fuel vehicles, as this is not a common vehicle repair. Staff analysts conclude that fully funding a maintenance program as well as supporting a structured vehicle replacement program could be best achieved through leasing and then the needed vehicles instead of purchasing them, and outsourcing portions of the fleet maintenance activity, which is currently handled in-house. Staff research companies that would be capable of facilitating the needs of the fleet leasing program and fleet maintenance program. Staff's research included Sourcewell, a municipal contracting agency that creates a national cooperative of contract purchasing opportunities for products and services on behalf of its members. On January 11th, 2022, Sourcewell issued a request for proposal for fleet maintenance services. The proposal due date and opening was on March 1st, 2022. Sourcewell found an Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc. to be the most qualified bidder and was awarded the contract. Sourcewell deemed Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc. as the sole provider for fleet management services. Staff's research also indicated that Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc. has successfully partnered with cities nationwide, including Palm Desert, La Quinta, Coachella Valley, Banning, San Jacinto, Redlands, and Corona. Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc. has also partnered with Mission Springs Water District and Palm Springs Unified School District. To evaluate feasibility of implementing a similar program with the City of Desert Hot Springs, staff has met with Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc. to discuss a pilot program that consists of vehicle leasing and replacement and fleet management program. Staff has identified the replacement of 8 Ford F-250 CNG trucks based on the information that staff provided to Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc. and what they have sold similar vehicles for. They provided a conservative estimate of resale value range. Staff has identified 8 new vehicles that consist of 5 Ford F-250s that will be assigned to Public Works, 2 Ford Rangers that will be assigned to Code Compliance, and 1 Ford Ranger that will be assigned to Community Development Building Department. In addition to the replacement vehicles, a new pool vehicle will be added to the fleet. The new pool vehicle will be a Ford Explorer XLT. The vehicle lease and replacement program are established through an open-ended lease, which will allow for the city to replace more vehicles with less upfront cost. Included in the estimate cost for the monthly lease agreement is the monthly cost for a fleet maintenance program. The city can request that Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc. have local mechanic shops in Desert Hot Springs to become part of their nationwide network. Currently, there is already a preferred partner in the Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc. Fleet maintenance program in Desert Hot Springs. Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc. provides a team of automotive service excellence, ASE certified technicians to negotiate the right work and the right price on behalf of the city. They also review all proposed work, pricing, and warranty coverage. Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc. Fleet Maintenance utilizes the eFleet mobile app. The city will have 24 access to the maintenance records and access to roadside assistance. The mobile app also provides locations for preferred repair facilities by location if the vehicle needs emergency service outside the city limits. Staff is recommending City Council approve the implementation of the pilot vehicle leasing and replacement program, approve the master equity lease agreement and maintenance management agreements with Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc., and authorize the city manager to execute the said agreements and any necessary amendments. It is further recommended that the City Council approve the attached list of designated vehicles and authorize Enterprise Fleet Management, Inc. to liquidate these vehicles on behalf of the city. That concludes my report. We do have Zeke here from Enterprise, if there's any questions. Thank you.
All right. We'll open up to public comments. Anybody like to speak on this item? I see no one coming forth. We'll close public comments. I'll go to council. Mr. Fitz.
Yeah, just a couple of questions. Might be a little bit off subject, but you're talking about CNG refueling. Do we have any plans? Are any of these vehicles electric? Only all electric?
No, none of them are.
Okay, but if they were, would we be getting more? Are we getting more electric charging stations?
Yes, we are.
Sorry, somebody's asking that question. So these vehicles will be powered by what? Gasoline?
Gas.
So we're going back to gasoline?
Yes.
Okay. And, you know, a good friend of mine, Jim Hyatt, Cali Mesa, he's passed away, but I remember riding with him to Skag for quite a few years, and he'd always bragged that their city never once paid for a vehicle. They always got them through grants and given to them. I'm real hesitant on this one because I know that if we explored that, we could probably, you know, through all these programs we hear about up at Skag, if we transferred our vehicles from, you know, what they are now to clean vehicles, especially since they run local, that we could probably get some significant grants and not be paying anything. There's not enough time to sort that out here. On the face here, I like what you're doing, but I'm just have this in the back of my mind is that maybe there's another way that we could accomplish this. So if I vote no, it's not because I thought you had a bad program here. I'm just thinking that I'd like to have some more time to sort out, you know, some of these grant opportunities, see if we can just start getting free vehicles instead of paying for them. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Gardner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Nick, I like this program a lot. I know we go through vehicles, we run through them fairly often, and we end up with nothing in resale value. They're essentially scrap value by the time we're done with this. So leasing to me makes an awful lot of sense. What's the plan? I mean, how long does this pilot last? And then what happens when the pilot is over?
So if Zeke, if you want to come up and explain the open-ended lease portion of it.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Council, Mayor. So I can piggyback on the electric thing a little bit too with the technology pieces we talk about that. In an open-ended lease, the majority of the payment is equity. Sorry about that. Is that better? In an open-ended lease, the majority of the payment is principal, right? You're just paying the vehicle down instead of paying it down to zero like you would in a finance. You're paying it to a reduced book value. So the city has all the rights of ownership, has all the rights of the equity in the vehicle, et cetera. So what can happen to the electric side before I answer that is when electric vehicles are available in a 250 or 350 or 450 that can support an aero board, carry the weight and so forth, those vehicles are coming. They're not here yet, but you will be able to swap out of these vehicles, take the equity out of them, and then apply it towards the electric vehicle. So the leasing model really allows you to be flexible as technology adapts and changes to utilize the vehicles that are, you know, best suited and most environmentally clean, if you will. With respect to grants, I have had cities or clients that have used grants to pay for some vehicles, but those are strictly used for small commuter electric vehicles. They have to be usually 100% electric for any grants that I've seen that are used. But they use that grant, they use that as if you will, say a down payment to reduce the payment on the vehicle. So it is still compatible with a leasing program. There's just certain legal things that you have to meet, which we can do. So with the pilot program, if you will, what will happen is you'll have a dedicated account manager. His name will be Kevin Almendrez. His job is to review the analytics and look at the fleet year in and year out. He manages the Mission Springs Water District account as well. And so Kevin will look at the fleet, work with staff, create a recommendation and analysis and a budget on which vehicles make sense to come out of the fleet because you have a large amount of equity and which vehicles should stay in the fleet. He'll present that analysis to staff. Staff will review it, look at the budget, and then ultimately make the final decision on which vehicles they want to keep in fleet and which vehicles they want to bring out of fleet. And then bring it to council every year as part of the budget to continue to adapt the program. If the program doesn't work, there's no commitment under our contracts that you have to continue on. You can just pay off the leases or buy out the leases for the book value and move on from enterprise. So it's really only a win-win for the city with the pilot program. Does that answer the question, or is there anything else I can elaborate
Well,
on?
roughly, I mean, we're doing this with a smaller fleet and a small pilot program. Assuming it's successful, which I think it will be, an open-ended lease makes a lot of sense for a large fleet of city-type vehicles like this, in my head. Will you bring it back to us for total, or will just kind of evolve into that?
Yeah, I mean, right now it's the pilot program, so this is our chance to see if this fits us, and then if it is successful, then we'd be bringing it back upon recommendations, availability, and then your guys' approval.
And then this, if I understand this after reading it and listening to your presentation, this also includes all of the maintenance aspects of it as well, right? So that's all above and beyond factory warranty. It just goes through the maintenance is included in the lease price.
Yeah, so if you want to, this is kind of a two-part. There's the lease, and then there's the maintenance. So this is the maintenance portion.
Yes, so as a fleet management program, what we're also trying to do, really in the long run, besides act as your financial planner for the fleet, is act as your fleet manager, right? The city's fleet is not large enough to kind of warrant a full-time fleet manager, and somebody dedicated to it, right? So what Enterprise does is we provide a maintenance program that will monitor and track who's due for oil changes, who's past due for oil changes. It provides staff with reporting, consolidated billing. Vehicles where we hold the title that are under lease, we'll also make you aware of any safety recalls that come about, et cetera. So we're taking over that kind of administrative day-to-day minutia on the babysitting of the fleet. When you do need an oil change, you'll simply take it into the shop here in the city that is in our program. On the new leased vehicles, there's a fixed maintenance rate that it covers everything except for brakes and tires, transmissions, belts, hoses, tune-ups, et cetera. On your existing fleet, it's just a bill-back program. You'll take it in, the shop will do its diagnostics. They'll have to get approval from our ASE certified technicians who will scrutinize that repair, make sure they're assessing the right number of labor hours, the right number of the part rates, et cetera. And then we will pay for it, bill you back on a consolidated statement, keep all those records, all that history. You'll have it all on the website 24/7. So
in that case, Nick, then when I read our weekly public works report, which I do read, I won't see a note that says had to replace light bulb in brake light on truck number 3.
Yeah, that's correct.
So, and I suppose it'll cut down all those annoying, your car warranty is expired phone calls that you're getting, right? So.
Correct.
Anyway, I thank you for bringing this. I do think it's time we move on to something like this, and I think it's a very valuable piece. I think it'll really help in our fleet management and help bring down the cost. So I think it's a good idea. Thanks, Jeff.
Mr. Nunez?
Thank you. So the 4 vehicles that we replace, what are we going to do with the vehicles that we do replace? Are we going to sell them back? Does Enterprise take hold of them, or do we sell them at auction, or how do we get rid of them?
So Zeke could explain this portion too.
Sure. So the thing that oftentimes surprises folks on our rent-a-car side of our business, the number one area where we generate revenue is selling the vehicles on the back end, right? Because of that, we sell the vehicles ourselves through our own employees and through our own facilities and through multiple different channels. About 20% of that is through the auction for certain types of vehicles. The other 80%, we hand sell the vehicles back to all of the used vehicle lots, the truck centers, independent buyers, and so forth. So as part of this program, we will pick up, when we deliver the new vehicle, we will take away the old vehicle and we will remarket it through our channels to drive the highest resale value possible. Under the Sourcewell contract, the fee to do so is $400. We don't take a percentage of the sale. We just net out the $400 from the vehicle. Of course, if there's any administrative fees because the vehicle had to be towed because it wasn't running or it needed cleaned, those would also come out if there were any selling fees associated. But yes, we will sell the vehicles, maximize those resale dollars for you, and all of that less the $400 service charge goes back to the city.
Okay. So I would feel comfortable with, during this pilot program, that we do our due diligence and research to see if there's any grants out there that we can look at vehicles during the program. The other thing I would feel more comfortable with is that to make sure that we have a designated city business that's going to be taking care of maintenance in the city limits. So.
Yes, there is a shop in the city limits that would do that. Of course, any warranty items on the new vehicles or so forth would need to go to the dealership. All the dealerships are in the network or so forth. But if local oil changes, work on all of your existing vehicles, that can all go through the local city
Okay,
shop.
I look forward to see how this pilot is going to work out. So thank you.
Ms. Pye?
To say, just for further reading, there's a spreadsheet that goes further down, and it tells us what the year is, who's driving it, and what the cost would be. And further down, the person that you said will be the salesperson. It tells exactly what will happen. And it also indicates that we do have a person here in Desert Hot Springs that is certified. So if you go to the spreadsheet and work your way down, all of the questions that were asked were included in your report.
The only comments I have is I'm always looking for opportunities, and when we have our staff, to get them into a position where they can really excel in their director position or their position. And when you have to go out and you have to take time to find vehicles, and it's not a full-time job, you take away from our staff's time on what they're really trying to accomplish. So I think this is a great opportunity for us, and I think it'll pay off in the long run. So I'm going to support it. Yes.
So, a long time I've sat up here and I've seen these vehicles go to auction where you basically get nothing, and it's always disturbed me that, why are we taking a perfectly good vehicle and getting so little? So if I was going to be a yes, you convinced me to, if I was going to be a no vote, you now convinced me to yes. So good job on there. Any chance for hydrogen fuel cell vehicles?
Gosh, you're going down a whole other rabbit hole.
All right, forget it. If there is one, Sunline
everybody
has a
seems to be on the
fueling
electric
station.
bandwagon right now, and there's a
All right.
lot of electric stuff coming, including an electric police Blazer that's coming in about 2 more model years that Chevy's going to launch. That's going to be kind of interesting to see.
Okay, well, I think it's been a great discussion, and, we can all see the staff report. Sometimes we ask a question, it's just for the benefit of the public, because
No, I
they
totally
don't often
understand.
read these staff reports. So if we ask something that was already there, that's usually why. And Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve, if I could.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second? There's a motion and a second on the table. As soon as it comes up on the screen, if there's no further discussion, please vote.
Girl, I have no screen.
Hope I didn't motion and second.
Somebody did.
Huh?
Can we just switch it?
Hey, it's fine.
That's okay, you
Nobody
can move it.
told
It's
us.
no problem. That's no problem.
Motion passes unanimously.
Item 7 is a notice of completion, Police Department Dispatch Center tenant improvements. Mr. Hager.
Thank you. On December 8th, 2021, the City Council authorized the city manager to award a contract with Diamond Construction, Inc. for the Police Department Dispatch Center tenant improvement project in an amount not to exceed $459,800 for a total project budget plus contingency. The City of Desert Hot Springs decided to utilize the existing footprint of the Police Department facility at 65950 Pearson Boulevard, where the Detective Bureau was located, for the new Police Safety 911 Dispatch Center. Desert Hot Springs is one of the fastest cities was one of the first, I'm always used to saying we're the fastest growing, sorry. Desert Hot Springs is one of the first cities required by the state to implement the new next generation 911 system. During the construction, there were modifications that were required for the completion of the project, meaning the updated state requirements. Implementing these changes resulted in corresponding challenges. For example, the state had not settled on a vendor for our region until June, shortly after the center was set to open. State changes that updated system requirements made it necessary to relocate and redesign the system and the equipment halfway through the project, resulting in a significant change order. This unforeseen and required change order resulted in a financial construction cost of $550,538.94. The work was officially completed on September 22nd, 2022. The next step in the process will be for the city to record a notice of completion and release the final retention payment to the contractor. There is no financial impact associated with recording of the notice of completion documents. The overall construction project was $550,538.94, and this was included in the approved fiscal year 2021-22 budget appropriations. Staff is recommending City Council approve and accept the work with change orders, authorize the city manager to execute the notice of completion, and authorize the release of final retention payment and the performance bond. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any public comments on this item? I see nobody coming forth. Close public comments at this time. I'll entertain questions for staff or a motion. Yes.
Which I told you before, if the state told us to do it, we need to get our money back.
Any other comments, questions? I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Notice of completion be accepted.
I'll second. There's a motion and a second on the table. As soon as it comes up on the screen, if there's no more discussion, please vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
No items pulled from the consent calendar. We do have public comments for anyone that didn't get to speak in the first public comment period at the beginning of the meeting. Would anybody like to come forward and speak?
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make a public comment. And if I don't have to go down to the podium, that would be great.
Wonderful.
Is that my?
I can't stop you.
Is it my time to have 3 minutes?
Can someone time it, please?
I just don't want to go down to the podium. So I have somebody who I appointed to the Planning Commission who had since become a friend and had a very scary moment when they ended up in the hospital. And it just, you always hear these warnings about don't mix medicines, don't take this. And you always think, oh, well, I won't do it, but what's the big deal? Well, in this case, it put somebody in the hospital. And they've recovered fine now. In fact, I'm riding with them up to Riverside tomorrow. We're not sure who's driving, but DG Cook's doing great. But what I want to do is just take this time to tell everybody, if your doctor tells you don't mix medicine, wow, what a scare that was. So please, that's just my caution to everybody. Listen to your doctor, especially on the prescription medicines. I mean, sometimes the pharmacist comes out and says, hey, you're taking this and this, be careful. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Next upcoming meeting for the City Council will be on November 1st. Election day is actually on the 8th. So there is a Planning Commission meeting, but City Councils are canceled. I don't know if Planning Commissions are canceled. And then don't forget to vote on election on November 8th if you haven't done absentee. And then November 10th is the Public Safety Commission, and November 15th is the next. Oh, there is a ballot drop box here if you need to drop your ballot if you have an absentee ballot. Be safe. We are adjourned.